Dear friends, we are seeing the great games of Bobby Fischer. This game is also played at the same tournament, that is at Mar del Plata, a coastal city of Argentina. And Fischer is playing white. Shocron, his opponent, the Argentinian GM, he is playing black. On move 20, Fischer deviates from the theory and general practice of GMs at that time, that is pawn g5. The usual move is queen g5. Fischer deviates from it and makes a place for his knight. This is not the reason for Shocron's downfall. It was almost heading for a draw, but Shocron made a combination, and he thought he can trap Fischer, but his calculation is one move short, causes his game. Let us go and see. All the comments made in this game are from Bobby Fischer, and his age was 15 at the time of playing this tournament. e4, e5. The opening is Rey Lopez. Fischer playing white, Shocron playing black. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, d6, c3, connecting bishop and queen. Shocron castles, h3, knight a5, bishop c2, c5, d4, queen c7, knight b d2, bishop d7. Alternatives are king h8, rook f e8, rook ne to c8, knight c6, bishop b7, knight d7, c into d, etc. But are all these moves gives equality? Who knows? Knight f1, rook f e8, knight e3, g6. This is a Yugoslavian system popularized by Gligoric and Mortanovic. The idea is to strengthen the position, then transfer the bishop to f8 while awaiting further developments. Black will undertake a specific counter action only after white commit himself. D into e5, d into e5, knight h2. When examined with a microscope, black has his problems. d5 can be described as a gapping, that is this square. Rook a d8, queen f3, bishop e6, knight h g4, knight into g4, h into g4. Black has new burden of neutralizing the potential attack on the open h file. Queen c6, g5, clear g4 for the knight before black forces an exchange of knights by playing knight c4. But black has resources. Knight c4, knight g4, bishop into g4, queen into g4, knight b6. That is to prevent a4, swing the knight to f8 in order to defend the vulnerable pawn on h7. g3. g3 is to play king g2 and rook h1 and to attack along the open h file. c4. c4 is a very good move. It is a right thing. He is careful to see a4 is restrained. Wrong, for example, is knight d7. Let us see what happens. Knight d7, a4, b4, c into b4, c into b4, bishop b3. The bishop comes crashing black into the game via the open diagonal. c4, king g2, knight d7, rook h1. Phase 1 is over. Having seen his kingside threads neatly parried, white is compelled to start some action on the opposite wing. Knight f8, b3 leads to trouble. We will see how. If b3, b4, knight e6, queen h3, h5, g into h6, ep, that is enpassment. Knight d4 and wins. Instead of b3, if white plays a4, we will see what happens. On a4, b4, c into b4, bishop into b4, a5, threatening bishop a4, queen b7 is satisfactory. So let us go back and see what happens in the game. b4, queen e6, again sharper is a5, a3, if b into a, queen a6, a4, queen into a5. Let us go back and see. Rook a8 with equality. Let us go back and see what happens in the original game. Queen e6. Fischer doesn't like to exchange queens at this stage. a5, b into a, queen a6, bishop e3, queen into a5, rook a1. If now queen into, instead of rook a8, if black plays queen into c3, a into b leads to equality. a5, b into a5, queen a6, bishop e3, queen into a5, a4, rook a8, a into b5, queen into b5, rook h b1, queen c6, rook b6, queen c7, rook b a6, obtaining the control of a file. Rook into a6, rook into a6, rook c8, queen g4, knight e6, bringing the knight into the game. Wrong would be an attempt to simplify with bishop c5. We'll see what happens. If bishop c5 is played, bishop into c5, queen into c5, bishop a4. Black has trouble in finding a good move. If now knight e6, bishop d7, or instead of knight e6, rook d8, rook c6, queen a7, rook into c4, rook d2, staying with the pawn ahead. So let us go back. After knight e6, bishop a4, rook b8, rook c6. Up to here Shocron defended coolly, but now he makes a combination which has a fatal miscalculation. Correct is queen d7. Let us see what happens. Correct is queen d7, and it is not clear how white can improve his position any further. But what is played is queen d8, rook into knight, queen c8, blow for blow. Apparently Shocron was prepared for this trick, having seen that f into e6. Let us see what happens. F into c6, on f into c6, queen into e6, then queen into e5. He is crushing. Now how does white avoid losing material? Bishop d7. This is what he missed in his calculations. Now if queen into bishop, rook into pawn check, and black loses the queen. If queen moves to some other square, rook escapes, and black has to play with the power down. So black resigns. If you like this video, share, subscribe, so that you can see many more beautiful games of the great Bobby Fischer. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time.